Hello, this is Leela Viss, and I'm so glad you're here. I'm the host of Key Ideas. This podcast empowers piano teachers to unlock the transformative power of music in their students and shift from a mindset of survival to one of revival. It's time to wrap up the second season of Key Ideas, but it was hard to choose which direction to go. Decision fatigue is real. And so this episode is a mishmash. It definitely reflects my state of mind as I end a spring session of teaching and prep for a summer season with lots of group lessons and camps and drop-in lessons. Throw in a quick trip to Florida and writing a book, and topics swing from off-bench plans to summer camp templates to personal reflection. You name it, I'll probably talk about it in this episode. To keep you engaged in this time travel through my swirling stream of consciousness, there are some freebies and suggestions sprinkled throughout that you'll want to download at the show notes. For now, grab your walking shoes and earbuds, and when you get back home, head to leelaviss.com/keyideas for all the links and freebies. Okay, here I go. A while back, I heard via snail mail that Alfred Music Publishing was terminating the sale of my book, The iPad Piano Studio: How to Unlock the Power of Apps. I was asked to get in touch and let them know what to do with the unsold copies of the book that were taking up space in their warehouse. No contact information was given, and so I waited for Alfred to reach out. Eventually, someone did. She asked how many copies I wanted out of the hundreds left. I requested 10, as the shipping is on me. The rest would be thrown away. It's no surprise that Alfred discontinued distributing the book that I self-published back in 2013 for a couple of reasons. First, it's a book about apps for piano teaching, a tiny niche in the world of books. I never expected it to be a top seller. And second, it's a hard copy book about the hottest tech tools of 10 years ago. 10 years in the digital world are like 10 years in the dog world, so the content is about 70 years old. With the notification that the book would be taken off the Alfred shelves, it got me reminiscing and flipping through the pages. I discovered that there's a few things that are still relevant, even today. For example, the book includes a description of my off-bench time, a component to my lessons that I still implement, and one that I've highlighted this season at Key Ideas. Paragraphs dedicated to what off-bench time is and how I sell it to parents match the advice I still give today. Recently, a teacher committed to starting off-bench time in his studio and signed up for a consultation with me. In our discussion, he asked me to create text for an email to send parents to explain the addition of off-bench time. Head to the show notes so you can grab it yourself. It may be the perfect jumpstart for that all-important letter you are crafting as you integrate off-bench time in your studio. Most every app mentioned in the iPad Piano Studio is still on my must-have app list at my site and used regularly in my studio. To name just a few: Square to collect payments, TurboScan to scan sheet music that I import into Fourscore, Fourscore for reading scores using a Bluetooth pedal for hands-free page turning, iRail Pro for generating chord charts and backing tracks, Flashnote Derby for pitch recognition, Rhythm Lab for drilling rhythm patterns, and musicnotes.com for sheet music, and the list goes on. Check the show notes for a link to a hefty list of must-have apps and why I like them so much. Another reason that the book still holds some relevance is the perspective it takes. The book did not go in depth about how to use specific apps, although it did have a companion blog site and QR codes that offered some instructional tutorials. Instead, it mainly focused on how the iPad and apps can assist your teaching. In fact, I generally avoid writing or presenting tutorials about how to use an app. But as life would have it, things change. Let me explain. When I launched the book, I had stopped composing because Sibelius didn't jive with my Mac, and Finale was just too complicated. With 3 small boys, I didn't have the brain space to navigate these massive programs. Soon, both Noteflight and MuseScore gave me the chance to notate compositions in a user-friendly and inexpensive platform. During the lockdown of summer 2020, Noteflight saved my summer lessons. It was the #1 tool that equipped students to create and notate a composition, and we did it all over Zoom. By the way, Zoom didn't make it into my book. Frankly, I had no idea what Zoom was in 2013. Showing others how to create and use online tools was so effective that it got me thinking, what if I create an environment for teachers to explore their creativity and learn how to use specific tech tools in a workshop setting? That's how the idea of the 8+8 Composium came about. It's where teachers gather on Zoom, get creative, and show their work with Noteflight and Canva, and publish an original composition. The weekly accountability to get the assignments completed keeps composers on their toes. The learning curve using new tech tools gets everyone curious, and so they come to each class with inquiring minds and plenty of questions. With this hands-on experience, they gain confidence not only in their tech skills, but also in their creative side. Do you know how many people fear their own creativity? I'll save that for another episode. It took a global pandemic for me, for all of us, to be confident with online tools like Zoom and Noteflight that virtually kept our businesses alive when in-person wasn't a viable solution. I'm not a fan of the term silver lining, but it does seem appropriate here. Over 50 teachers have confirmed that the 4-week Composium course is worth the investment of time and money, and alumni are returning because the class keeps them accountable to their creativity and they see the payoffs in their studios. If you've been wondering if the Composium is the right fit for you, then I bet it is. Next month, I look forward to offering my very first online Composium for high school students, and I'm holding some in-person Composiums for my studio students. Summer is a great time to change things up and charge up student creative juices. As of May 2022, there are 2 Composiums for teachers coming up in September and October. Look, I know there's plenty of tutorials and freebies out there that show you how to use notational software. The Composium gives you hands-on experience with immediate answers to your questions, with fellow creators cheering you on. From a quick search, there is no other course like the Composium, and I'd love to have you join us. Okay, back to my thoughts on the iPad Piano Studio book. There are things that it doesn't include. It gives no instructions on how to develop an app. That was about the furthest thing from my mind back then. It seemed that creating an app was a feat limited to high-tech brainiacs. I wasn't interested, and instead got hooked on exploring apps created by the genius of others. 10 years later, I know several innovative and clever piano teachers who have developed popular apps that many can't teach without now. Teachers like Eksong Mar created Sproutbeat, packed with digital worksheets and interactive games, and Grace Lee dreamed up NoteQuest, which drills landmarks and pitch names. Technology and tweaking it to make our own content and tools has become accessible to anyone with a unique idea backed with plenty of ambition and a will to learn new things. Speaking of developing apps, I found a format and timing that feels right. After 10 years of relying on tech gurus, I've generated my own program, and it feels like a dream come true. This brand new tool is called The Full Scoop on Chords and stems from an ebook I created 6 years ago with Bradley Sowash. The book felt outdated, and so it's been morphed into a digital course that is now available at my site. In a nutshell, the 4-module course is all things chords, from spelling triads to inversions to chord progressions to 7th chords and even figured bass. You'll find it at one place. It's Chord Central. The course comes as a monthly subscription. Feel free to hop in and out of the course as you please and use your subscription for use with students in your studio. One reason to sign up now and stay subscribed is to lock into the low price. As I drop the last 2 modules, the rate will go up. For a quick tour of the course and answers to other questions you may have, head to the show notes. At the risk of sounding boastful, I'm thrilled to have a platform to design and share the Full Scoop on Chords because I've been looking for one like this for years. It's a flipped classroom approach with clever tutorials and graphics. It offers tactile reinforcement with Clip-It quizzes, online quizzes if you don't have a printer, and it's loaded with worksheets and ideas that will keep students busy for hours during off-bench time, my favorite thing. Like I said at the beginning, my mind has been spinning, not just about the book or apps or off-bench time. It's also preoccupied with anticipation about a summer filled with group lessons, or what I call summer camps. It feels like a big deal because I stopped teaching quarterly group lessons and summer camps since COVID reared its ugly micro monster head a few years back. To channel my brain dump of ideas, I created a summer camp planning schedule. This template comes as close as it gets to how I plan for summer camps and group lessons. Of course, I'll be integrating apps into the plans like Heads Up, Kahoot, Flashnote Derby, and iReal Pro, Music Clock, YouTube. As a gift for sticking around at Key Ideas, head to the show notes and download the free summer camp lesson template. With the download comes my objectives for a 4-day summer camp for first-year pianists that I will hold this summer, and a breakdown of my plans for day number 1, so you can get a sneak peek at my thought process. All plans adhere to this order of introducing concepts: hear, play, see, create. This system reminds me to break things down to a granular level. For example, before I dive into landmark notes, I'll make sure that students discern and explore high and low pitches, line and space notes, treble clef versus bass clef signs. I describe the scaffolding in my planning kit for piano teachers. Keep in mind that these templates are blueprints that get fleshed out as the camps get closer. It really is hard to write down everything I do. I gotta say, though, that this template has definitely calmed the whirlwind in my head. Speaking of group teaching, if you need a jumpstart or refresh when it comes to teaching in groups, consider attending Group Illuminated. Illuminated with a capital ED at the end. Produced by Mindy Rawlinson and Marie Lee, they've got a lineup of experienced group piano teachers that will empower you as you consider or continue in your group piano teaching. I look forward to providing a couple of sessions myself. The conference is available on demand during the month of July, so you can watch at your convenience. Use my affiliate code, capital LEILA, 50 to get $50 off the registration, linked at the show notes. Ever since the iPad Piano Studio book was released, I've been dreaming about writing another book, but wasn't sure about the subject. In November of 2019, a horrific boating accident took the arm and almost the life of our 25-year-old son, Carter. Although it's a devastating way to stumble across a topic, our irreversible loss not only gave me a story, but it compelled me to write about it. Now, when I'm not making plans, recording a podcast, or teaching lessons, I'm churning out chapters that focus on grief, resilience, forgiveness, and touches on the power of music in the healing process. By the way, in the show notes, there's a link to a video that Carter just created with the driver of the boat who struck him. Although this book is not specifically about piano teaching, piano teachers are human, and that means we all straddle beauty and pain. In the book, I don't hold back. It's an invitation to sit in the dark and find the light. I've learned from David Kessler, an expert in grief, that this book is a way for me to find meaning from an unthinkable situation. And I've learned from Brené Brown that being vulnerable and telling our family story cultivates compassion and connection. In her book, Atlas of the Heart, Brené Brown shares a quote from Pema Chodron. "Only when we know our own darkness well can we be present with the darkness of others. Compassion becomes real when we recognize our shared humanity." In essence, the book is one way of empowering piano teachers just like you to unlock the transformative power of music in their students and themselves, and shift from a mindset of survival to one of revival. Again, thanks for hanging with me here at Key Ideas. I'm Leela Viss. See you in the trenches, staying genuine over perfect, and grateful for your companionship.